4 p.m., stand up. It's count time. Time for every man and woman to stand up and be counted. I'm Brother L.D. Azober, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Count Time Podcast. Now we're gonna be rolling here today. We're gonna give some insight, some good information to help a lot of our young brothers and sisters who not quite familiar with what's going on, and very few are familiar with what's going on. But I have a dear friend here, colleague, a brother, a confidant, everything you could imagine he's been to me. And I'd like to welcome him to Count Time, tax attorney Carlos Hornbrook.
I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Well, you know, we go back a long ways, my brother.
A long way, 40 years.
He had to tell everything.
More than 40 years.
You got to tell everything. I'm good. But, you know, it's been a while, right?
It's been a while.
Now, I got to give you a little background on Carlos. Look, he got to tell you, he's a former player of LSU, graduate of LSU, and so much more. He still to this day mean a lot to LSU because he's a major supporter of LSU. But he and I met, what year was that, Carlos?
78, 79.
What year you arrived on campus?
Between 79 and 80, I was in here.
Probably about 80?
Yeah.
You came Bishop first year.
Yeah.
That was 80. You came you was here for the 81 season.
Right.
And Carlos came as a walk-on.
Right.
From where? Where you come
New
from?
Orleans.
What high school?
De La Salle.
He was a walk-on and he was Hispanic.
Right.
That was an unusual combination at Louisiana State University.
Yeah, but
because they were just getting used to the black players coming. Now you show up.
Now the Spanish people show up. All right, but no, I mean I tell you what, I was always treated nice, with respect. Like the best thing I ever did was walk on LSU because most of my friends are guys on a team this day. I mean, 40 years later, you know, those guys that were teammates of mine are still my good friends. So to be able to get that kind of gift, you know, to me, I was fortunate. I got to tell everybody I was fortunate to be on that team.
Well, to be honest with you, the way we felt, we was very fortunate to receive you that year because you brought a lot of fun, excitement. Matter of fact, it was interesting how you treated. You was a walk-on, but you was serving up players. Yeah. You saw there was a need.
Well, I kind of was the guy that brought everybody together. Because at the time, you had the white players, you know, sticking to themselves, had the black players sticking to themselves. And one day I went and I was coming back into Broussard Hall, and you know, after being out like around 2 a.m, and the downstairs lobby down there, that little game room area, was like party city. So I go, man, who's down there partying? And it was all the guys, the black players on the team with a fraternity, you know. And I walk in there, and some of the frat guys were about to kick me out, and every one of my teammates circled me and said, no, he's all right. He can come here. So, man, I go, wow, y'all have fun here like this all the time after 2 a.m, because everything shuts down. I go, right. I'm coming here from now on. So then I started coming there. Some other players started coming in there, and then we all started hanging out together, you know.
First of all, you know, when the team get down, when it's hot, coach, they fussing at you, they cussing at you. You around here excited, you around here jumping around, you laughing, you getting everybody back in the mood.
Well, the reason for that was during the summer I worked at Dixie Beer, and I
got a story for everything.
I worked above the pasteurizer, okay. So it'd get like about 140 degrees. So when I go take my break, when it was 95, it was like a cool breeze hit me. So when everybody was suffering at the 2 days and all, I was fresh as a daisy. So that's why I was jumping and happy. because that heat didn't get to me.
Well, we just thought you was just one crazy Mexican.
Hey, everybody thought, they go, who is that guy? Who is that guy?
I mean, but you had a way where you touched all the players. And to this day, we are so appreciative and thankful for you, because at that time we had a big coaching change.
Yeah.
A lot of things was happening. You know, nobody knew what was going to be going on, but you stepped in. You stepped in a big way, and most of the guys appreciate you.
No, like I said, to this day, you know, you're a good friend of mine. Daryl Day. You know, I can name a bunch of guys that we're still good friends. We communicate with, and if it wouldn't have been for LSU football, I wouldn't have these friends. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, that's good, and that's the attitude you've always had, and you've always carried. And we are grateful to you and for you, because nobody even knew your story.
And I mean, yeah, who wants to? I mean, you'll walk on. You know,
nobody even knew your story.
You don't even like exist almost. You know that. You know, there's like, you know, the first day there's about 100 guys.
No. Back then it was 140 guys, 150 guys.
Yeah. And then you have Chester, who was at the monitor dorm. He'd walk across the walk-ons and go, "You're going to be the first one to quit." And that person would go, "No way, there's no way, I'll die before I quit." No matter what, that guy he always picked the first one to quit.
So Chester was good.
That Chester, and man, it was I go, "Chester, when we go back, who's going to be this year?" Even they get on even further.
But Chester was a good friend of mine, because when it was some of the players at certain times, like during the spring season, we get out there, we want a barbecue, right? So we had to go find Chester to get us some meat. So Chester would go to the cafeteria, bring us some chicken, some ribs. I can say that now, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, he controlled that whole dorm. He had keys.
Chester looked out for everybody.
Yeah, no, he was a gem. I mean, he was probably one of the reasons that LSU football was LSU football, because he could remember, he controlled the dorm, so he made sure everything ran right in there, that everybody got along. You know, things could have gone south. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize
he was an important role in that dorm of keeping everything intact, because all of the divisiveness that was going on.
Right.
You know, the color thing was happening, of the race, and people coming in. Then you had a lot of guys who like to drink.
Yeah, they come in crazy. No, but he held that together, and I think that he helped the race thing. You know,
for real.
You know, and a lot of people don't show that. Till this day, I think Chester should have more credit than that what's due to what he did, running that dorm.
Because he looked out. He one of the people that kind of made you feel like, because at the time with the divisiveness and the color barriers, and we were just getting to there. We're just getting to the point where we was gonna start working together. Yeah. We can talk all day about our LSU experience. But let's get a little background on you. Okay, you say where you went to De La Salle, out of New Orleans. But give us your family.
My mom and dad got divorced when I was 11. My dad was a 30-year person in the Navy. He was a Navy SEAL. He served 3 tours in Vietnam, but we didn't travel with him. You know, my mom stayed close to her mom.
Now, what's your dad's name was?
Thurl Allen Hornbrook.
Okay, what's your mom's name?
Mary Lou.
Okay.
So my mom, basically raised us, and
how many children?
Me and my brother, and then going on to LSU's team, they had a lot of guys that just had single moms or their grandmothers raised them. So and then I said in the article I wrote, we were basically a lower middle income family because of my dad being in the military. They don't make a lot of money and things like that, and that's why I think I blended in well with a lot of the guys on the team, because we both came from the same economic background. A lot of players were raised by their grandmother or mothers. So we had that empathy for each other. With that background, that we were down to earth. And we cared. My mom raised 2 good sons. And one thing, the gift my father gave me is that he instilled in me that your duty in life is to make the next person better. Okay? Your duty in life is to make the person next to you a better person. And that's what I try to do. I try to make the people around me a better person.
Well, you truly have exemplified that character. I mean, I never thought about it, but your dad instilled that in you.
Yeah, no, my dad instilled that in me because, in order to survive on a team, you got to make sure your teammates are better. In society, you got to make sure people in your society are better. So I think it's everybody's duty to make everybody better that's around them. And if you do that, you're going to have success whatever you do in life.
Well, I'm gonna tell you now, this man here have moved in so many different arenas, so many different levels. And almost every time he get where he got to go, he gonna call me. And I appreciate that. You've been doing that for years. You call me, look.
No, we keep in touch.
I'm part of this. No, I'm saying, but whatever you're doing, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Even ran for political office. You wanted to take Dr. Reverend Avery Alexander. Avery Alexander.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad I ran in that race because I got to meet Reverend Alexander. I didn't realize he was such until we sat down and talked. How much of an icon he was. I mean, he had the greatest story about because he was there with Martin Luther King. You know, he was there in the fight. He knew whatever with Southern Leadership Council. He was there, and the greatest story he told me was that at the time when it was decided who was going to lead the boycott, and at the time the head of the NAACP in Birmingham was an individual that worked, was a worker, and he said, I can't do it because I'm going to get fired. Let the minister do it. So the minister, who at the time, remember Dr. King was a young man, and said, look, I'm too old to do this. We need somebody that's smart, is intelligent, and that can do the job. We need Martin Luther King to do this. Can you imagine if any of those two other guys would have stepped up and that wouldn't have happened? History would be different right now.
Oh, that's amazing.
But just to hear that story, and then Avery, Reverend Alexander was one of the first guys that sat at the lunch counter at Woolworths in New Orleans, and the police had to come drag him out of there. He was a special person, and I was fortunate to meet him. And then the first thing I do is call you up. I go, Lyman, you need to meet this guy.
That's right. I
go, Lyman, you need to come. And I told you his background. You met him you called him up, went and saw him at the legislature, and the rest is and I told him, look, this guy needs a suit. Yeah, you need to get him a new suit.
You was the one who did that?
I go, he needs a suit. You need to get, because he was wearing his
old. Oh, now you was the one who told me.
Yeah.
I need to get him a suit.
Yeah. That's what the call was for you to go and take him to get him a suit.
Man, I couldn't. I never would have put that together because I brought him to what they call Maison Blanc at the time. Yeah. And brought him 5 suits.
Well, look, now, hey, you did he must have been wearing the same one for 20 years, but
and didn't think nothing of it.
No, didn't think nothing of it.
But I guess what hurt me at the time and what concerned me, that the other leaders in community did not step up to do something. If this man is a community leader,
right?
He's
icon.
He's an icon, and he's of age.
Yeah.
You need to be looking out for him. It's your responsibility to look out for him.
It took a Spanish guy calling up his brother.
And guess what? Because of that call, I forgot now. Because of that call, I acted upon that.
Yeah. Because I go, who can I call that could help immediately? Let me call Lyman up, and you did. You stepped up to the plate.
You know what year that was?
Oh, that had to have been in the 90s sometime.
No, that was in the early 90s. Yeah, 91.
Yeah, at the early 90s.
That was 91.
Yeah, because I had, like I said, I took him out to lunch. I wanted to, I didn't want to try to sandbag him because I respected him, and but I got to have great conversation with him, and after election we remained friends, and like I said, that's God puts you in certain places in life, and I'm glad he put me in that spot, in that situation. But I go, if there's anybody that can help, will be Lyman.
No, who's willing to help. A lot of people can help.
Yeah.
But we always been in service of the community.
Yeah.
You and I, we always have given that. And that was the best call you could have made, because he and I developed a wonderful relationship. I would feed him, when he came down here for legislature. Didn't want his money. You would bring him food to the house, different things like that.
He was a good man.
I mean, he was a great man.
Yeah,
and we appreciate it. And I got to say thank you, my brother, for making that call, giving me opportunity, open the doors up for me to meet with him. And
let's get back to the article.
Okay. No, hold on. Okay. Now, first of all, let me say that this is a special conversation here today that we're having. There's a deal around the country that's going on that you and I missed out on. It's front and center now. Nobody knows what to do, how to do it, where to go from here. And we all are concerned about what could be the dilemma, I guess, or
the consequences.
The consequences for this situation. It is called the NIL deal. NIL stands for Name, Image, and Likeness. Now, several months back, quite a few months back, last year, probably this time, we had a conversation with Verge Osbury, who gave us some insight on it, but it was still new to them too.
Right, very new.
So now it's been in action for about a year now. Just about a year, and there's a lot of things happening, a lot of great things for the players and their families, a lot of benefits, but that's that but. So my dear friend, attorney, financial tax attorney, Carlos Hornbrook wrote an article about it. And, we would post the article on the site so you can go visit and read the article that he wrote, but he did an excellent job, about a 7-8 page review of the consequences and what might happen in the years to come and how it's going to affect the universities, the players, the coaches, the whole system. Right. So let's hear what you got to say.
Well, the NIL deals, there's really still a lot of universities are tight-lipped. When I try to get information from universities about this article, nobody returned my calls. So I had to really basically go to the players and start to be able to piece things together. Now, the problem that I see, let's go back in time when you and I were playing, you said. Say, for instance, in Lyman, you were a big dog on a team. They go, let's take care of Lyman and let's pay him. We'll get a company to hire him, let's say Kroger's, to do advertising for us, and you would have got paid $12,000 a month. What would you done with that $12,000?
I took care of myself, my family.
Okay, now here's the consequences to that. You got to earn income from that, so you have to pay the tax man coming up. If you do gift your family, you have to do it properly, because if you don't, you'll get either you have to pay gift taxes, or you have to, or it lowers your exemption. Okay, your unified credit, which at time of death. But some of these players might not be affected by it right now because they're not making money. But let's say somebody goes in the first round, second round, and then they get a second contract, and now they making 20, 30 million bucks a year. It's going to affect them down the road. Okay, you would have gave you money to your family, you use it on yourself. What if you spent it all?
What do you mean, what if?
Okay.
It's a great chance.
Okay.
You're used to no money.
Okay, now you're considered a self-employed contract worker. So what that means is you're going to get a 1099. Not only are you going to have to pay earned income, but you have to pay, if you worked at a company, you get 7.5% taken out your check for employment tax. Now you're getting 15%.
Yeah, because there's no more matching.
Yeah, so if you got 30, 15, and plus estates, that's almost 50% that you're going to owe in taxes. What do you do then? You don't have the money. Where would you go?
As a young man thinking back then, when I was young,
yeah.
I'm going to go to my family, my mama, my daddy, my cousin, we got to pay this. But first of all, it won't be a big deal to me because I'm not thinking about taxes.
No, I understand.
So you're not even thinking about it.
If you would, like in today's money, if a player gets $46,000, out that $46,000, he's going to own $9,500 in federal and $1,500 in state. So your family would have been able to come up with that money for you?
No
okay.
Way.
All right. No. Then what would you have done? Would you have not filed? Were you?
I probably wouldn't file.
All right, that's what's going to happen.
Yes, probably would not file
and not pay your tax.
Not pay the tax.
Okay, so that's what's going to happen to most of these players. In my article, I have that. One player said exactly. I'm not going to. His father's well off. He played. He played on our team. Okay, he's well off, and he looked at his dad. You would pay it, and Dad said, "I don't know, son. You'd be working it off, but." What about me? Mom, I couldn't have gone to my mom. They said, can you pay this tax? So later down this year, when these players get to 1099 and they haven't been advised to pay their taxes, now, not paying your taxes is a misdemeanor, okay, but could develop into a felony.
Ooh.
If you don't pay your state income taxes, they can take your driving privileges away. Now you're driving around now you're driving out there without a driver's license. Stuff is going to build up. And because there's no direction, the NCAA is not monitoring this. They don't have.
Hold on. Now, what you mean the NCAA is not monitoring? They the one gave the go ahead to do it.
They're not. There's no department monitoring it. There's no individual that knows much about it either. There, because I called them up, and they said, "Oh, we don't have a department. We don't have a specialized person."
Hold on. Now you call.
I called the NCAA up
and
to see what were their procedures, for NILs.
And you said there's no department.
There's no department. I go, is there anybody you can connect me with? No, there's nobody that really handles NILs. Hold on. I held on, and then I get, you have reached the NCAA. If you like to leave your name and number, please leave it. And I did. Nobody called me back. But what they did tell me is the state legislatures
they pass it on to the states. Yeah.
But if you read the law, if you read Louisiana law, it mimics other state laws. But there is nothing in there telling the athletic departments to help. That is their duty to help these student athletes.
No, but they got something in there to help the university to collect too.
Right. Okay.
Collect from these players.
Right. But there's no requirement for the athletic department at LSU
to hold the players accountable, to teach, to train.
Yeah.
Prepare them for this.
They do have some seminars, but that seminar is not teaching them, one, if you do get an NIL deal and you do take the money, your parents might not be able to use you as a dependent. Now, some families that are making say $36,000 might need that child as a dependent to help them, to get services. So so they don't tell them, they don't explain this situation. They don't explain, why you need a will. What happens if you get $50,000-$60,000 and you die intestate? There's special rules that govern this. They don't tell you, like, for instance, if a player that got the $46,000 put $5,000 in a SEP IRA, they would save $700 in taxes, but when they turn 60, they would have $143,000. Lyman, just think at 22, if LSU would have put $5,000 in this account, and you'd have $143,000 right now.
$5,000
on five. What would happen in your life?
It'll put you in a better situation at your late stage of life.
Right. In the National Football League, because of what happened to the players, gotten taken advantage of, winding up with no money, they put safeguards in place.
The NFL,
there's safeguards in place. Here, there's no safeguards. It's the Wild Wild West. Now, let's look at the economics, and let's look at a team like Vanderbilt. They're located in the state of Tennessee, no state income tax.
No state income tax in Tennessee.
In Tennessee. Now, Nashville, where they're located, Nashville is a booming city. They got corporate headquarters moving to Nashville because of the tax laws there. Now, if a football coach at Vanderbilt plays his cards right and draws from all those schools, all those businesses, because now it's legal to pay players, okay? Before...
Hold on, that sounds strange.
Yeah, it was true. Now
it's legal to pay the players.
It's legal to pay the players now, where before, they had a lot of schools underhanded giving players money, all right? Now, an institution like Vanderbilt can do it legally, where there's no drama behind it. They don't get a black mark. So now you can go out and recruit top-notch players and totally take out LSU. Because at LSU, we got a state income tax that the player has to pay, plus we don't have the economics to support.
We don't have the industry.
That economic, base to compete later on with a school like Vanderbilt.
So what you're saying that Texas A&M
they get no taxes in Texas, no state income tax.
And they brought a lot of players in. For the first year.
Yeah, and that's another thing. When back in the day, when a player got money, say 20 or 50,000, and that happened. Okay, that was for that 1 year, and that was supposed to be for his whole college career. Now, what happened this year with that, the coaches are using that same mentality, okay? They're using that same mentality, and so they're taking the NIL away from the second-year players so they can give it to the incoming class. So that's why you're seeing a lot of transfer portals. A lot of Texas A&M had 25 players going to transfer portal.
25.
Yeah, so that means they didn't renew their NILs. So
Hold on now. People, what you mean? What do you mean? Texas A&M did not renew the NIL?
Why would these guys? You got 5-star, 4-star players leaving. Okay, just because. Why? I mean, it's not because they want to go to another school. It's because I almost bet that they got an NIL deal their freshman year, and now when it came time to renew, there was no NIL deals for second. Maybe a bunch of these second-year players, because you had to use for the current players coming in.
Okay.
Remember, these coaches are under the way they're used to doing business, and I'm not saying Texas A&M did it, but paying a guy $30,000-$40,000 under the table, 8-10, but that would be for your whole 4 or 5 years. You wouldn't have to worry about
what you insinuating that they was already doing this.
They was already doing this, but underneath the table. We all know that. I mean, it's just crazy. If somebody comes out there and say that didn't happen, hey, they're living under a rock.
I don't know about that. That's you're on your own with this.
Yeah, no. But hey, now what I also said in my article is the schools not only have to educate the players, they have to educate the parents. Because when I'm also an NFL agent, and when I went to parents' homes to talking about their sons, some of these parents had no clue about financial planning. They were like, they were living in a little below the poverty level. So all of a sudden you get this influx of money coming in. Chances are there will be mistakes made if you don't help them. And I think it's the duty of the universities to set up a program for the parents and the athletes. All right?
But then I guess the university's saying, well, the NCAA, y'all normally run everything else. Why do y'all not run this? Because if something don't go right, then they're going to feel responsible.
Well, I think the NCAA wants this to fail.
Why do you say that?
Because NCAA is losing a lot of power.
Yeah, they have lost a lot of power.
Okay. And what's the only way of getting their power back? If this flops, schools are floundering, they're crying for help, then NCAA comes in as a white knight and let us. We'll put regulations down that.
Now hold on. Now, Coach Dale Brown called the NCAA Gestapo's bastards.
Lyman, I don't like the NCAA myself. I think they're ridiculous. They had archaic rules, and the rules instead of helping the players, they hurt the players.
Right.
So
they collected billions of dollars over the years.
Right.
Where that money is at? I mean, they didn't pay it back.
They got
to
a
the
beautiful building, a lot of good salaries a year in there.
They didn't pay the players. Didn't get any money.
The university is pulling all this money in, and they got some that aren't. But if they put in the ones that have the money, create a good program, the other programs can mimic those programs, because it will help everybody. Let's look where Northwestern, Natchitoches is located, okay? If I was the mayor of Natchitoches, all right, and I knew a full football, if Northwestern had a great football team, that's going to bring people into Natchitoches that weekend.
That's right. That's one good thing about
football. I would go out my way to talk to businesses to sponsor players so Northwestern could recruit better players to bring in people for that weekend. Because if you don't have a good team, there's nothing happening. Because I know for the Saints games, because the Saints were doing well. I mean, the business was bustling in New Orleans, in the warehouse district and all. Now, because they declined a little bit, you don't see that foot traffic. And this could be a boom for smaller colleges if they play their cards right, because you can get good players from your area to stay and build the tour, where tourism comes in. There's a lot of moving parts to this.
So what you're saying that if these community leaders, not just the coaches or the athletic department,
right,
but communities, understand the dynamics of sports.
The NIL
The
program.
NIL deal, that they can take their community to another level.
To another level.
If they got a university,
Yeah.
university in their community.
They can, like right now.
Where Deion Sanders proved that.
Oh yeah, no. Dion is before people like our people still haven't caught on. Okay, this article that I wrote has a football touch to it, but it also has academic touch to it because I back up with all the tax code articles. Nobody's done that yet. Okay. Everybody just talks about, oh, this is going to happen, this other thing could happen, but I put the tax because what's going to implode college football is the taxes. Because if you get a lot of student athletes in trouble with the law because they're not paying their taxes, this is going to cause mayhem.
What do you mean mayhem? Give us some. What kind of problem could that cause?
Okay, what if your star player didn't file his income tax 2 or 3 years? Right. Okay. When the feds come looking for him, whatever endorsement deals he has, he's going to lose. Right. He might go to jail. Or your other players. So what you then have is a program that's going to start going downhill. Now, another reason, like I told you earlier, economics. There's some states that right now that don't have the firepower to compete with other states over this deal, NIL deals. Right now, from in my article, from what the interview that was done on, I think WAFB TV here local on Gordon McKenna. Is that McKern? Okay, he is the biggest funding vehicle for NILs at LSU, right. Between $750 and $1 million. That's a drop in the bucket.
That ain't even much.
That's not much. Mm-hmm. So LSU is about to get swamped on getting, 5-star, 4-star athletes.
So now you saying that money talks?
Yeah, that's for everything. And you know what?
So these young men and women, they have no allegiance to no LSU.
None. They got no. There's no allegiance to any school.
Any school. It really never had.
Yeah.
But but now it's gonna be shown.
Right.
And they're doing it now because they signing. What I see happening now, a lot of great athletes are signing with the big school just to get that out. To say I signed with the school. But they care less because they leaving the big schools and going to smaller schools too.
Well, what
about that?
That now on every team, say the 90 guys or 100 guys, you can have 10 or 20 guys that shouldn't even be playing.
Okay.
Right? If you look at the LSU signees every year, they lose about half their signees. And there's a reason they're bad scouting. You believe the clips because it's a lot different when you put on a helmet in college than in high school, right?
We saw that happen a lot.
And then all of a sudden that person doesn't want to. You have to love football to go to college level in pro, especially the pro level. You have to love it because you're going to get hit hard, and you're going to have to learn how to take those hits. And when you move, these guys are the big guys in high school, but when they come to college, everybody's a big guy, and all of a sudden, you don't want to play. So you see that the reason I think you see them going to smaller schools is because those guys might have went, they're going to, like TCU had 20 guys leave, I think. Out to 2015, went to all FFBS, smaller schools, and then 5 never went anywhere else. I just think these guys didn't have the talent. Now, the kids that you're seeing going from a bigger school, let's look at the quarterback from Oklahoma and went to USC. Okay, he didn't do that out the kindness of his heart.
Okay.
No, he did. Okay. He probably got a great NIL deal, but this stuff is not out in public, and you can't do a freedom of information request because that's private. That's between a business and a student.
Okay, now what about this thing going on where I'm hearing? I mean, you might have some insight in your article. You mentioned it, where the player or the universities are actually paying the players to stay.
Right.
Instead of going to the NFL, can you stay one more year?
I had a situation where we were recruiting this kid, the student athlete, for the pros, to represent him next year. And he calls me up and he told me his school has offered him $10,000 a month to stay an extra year. So, I want to advise the person right. So the person I did mention a football executive, a professional football executive said that the NILs are going to affect pro football with late round draft choice, because instead of going to the NFL, they're going to make more money staying, and that's going to affect the draft this year. Watch and see. All right, you're going to see a lot of more guys that would have been free agent players are going to probably get drafted now, because there's going to be a void. But I know for a fact that athletic department, did not tell the player about the income tax he was going to have to pay. He's going to out that $120,000. He was going to lose 60 of it.
He just waving money.
Yeah. He's thinking. We broke.
And just think, if you waving $10,000 a month,
right?
Man.
Yeah.
And you tell the player that if you stay here,
you go to school, which is fun.
And some of them probably give you more.
Right. Oh yeah, no, you don't know what's given out there.
You don't know what people are giving.
Right.
And these are with the NIL. Those are issues that's going on. So now I played NFL, right, and I got a chance to see some of this. When players are making more money than a coach, that's a problem, because the coach can't tell a player anything.
That could happen down here later.
Yeah, I mean, just like if a coach making more money than the athletic director, everybody, you can't tell a coach nothing. I like to see where that gonna go.
Well, yeah, because I know. Okay, there are some players that already committed to going back to school that could have gone pro maybe in earlier rounds. All right, they're not doing this out the kindness of their heart. Okay, they're getting money deals, NIL deals, to stay in school another year.
So you're telling us that
let's use the example Booty.
Okay.
If he's
who is Booty?
Wait, who's the receiver from LSU?
Keyshawn Booty.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say if he would have stayed, okay, and he's projected to go first or second round. Well, he probably would have commanded maybe $500,000 or $600,000 in NIL money to stay, but apparently that didn't come through.
But then again, now if you're gonna go first, second, third round, what you're gonna make is much more.
Oh, right, correct.
So it's not worth staying.
Right, it's not worth it.
But let's take I don't want to pick on my team,
okay.
LSU. But
look, I'm not being.
But Jalen stayed the quarterback. Okay. So you say that.
Jalen probably has a good NIL deal coming this way. Yeah, I mean, that's just the part of life. And look, we're not picking on LSU, okay? Because LSU is just like all the other universities, basically, on how they handle it.
But they're one of the major players. Yeah. They are. They're one of the major players.
They're one. I wouldn't call them a major player right now.
You would not?
No, because the reason being is because there are other, like you got USC, Texas A&M. Look at Alabama's class. I mean, Nick Saban said, if you don't adapt, you're done. All right. So and look, a lot of these programs already had by doing it under the table, already had their alumni guys. Now these guys, not only when they gave the money under the table, they couldn't take it off their income tax. Now they can, because they take that payment to the player off their taxes, so it's beneficial to them. The only thing that could catch harm right now, that if we don't teach these student athletes the proper way of handling their money, student athletes are going to get hurt.
That in the long run,
right?
They're the only one going to lose, because the other system been in place.
Right, it's already been in place.
Yeah, so everybody else knew how to work the system.
Yeah, everybody.
It's the players the one.
Yeah. Everybody knew who. Now, when the player got the $50,000 under the table, that was tax-free money.
Yeah, nobody couldn't say it.
No, that was tax-free money, and nobody ever. Have you ever heard a player get audited? No, that's tax-free money that the player got. Now, the player gets $50,000, he's only getting $25,000. Before, it was like getting $75,000 because you didn't pay taxes.
And you can see what the major corporations are doing to pinpoint the players. They just check their social media account and see what's going on the social media account.
Social media account, but mainly that's for, like, I think for Nike and the big corporates. Okay. But if you like, I think coaches like Coach Saban and Jimbo Fisher, Brian Kelly, they're like dinosaurs in this business right now. Because you know what? I mean, they're getting $11 million, salary. You can bring, if you got a good NIL program that brings, because look, you can have the horse, anybody's going to be a great coach with all the horses. Okay?
Okay.
All right? Now, can Coach Saban go coach Vanderbilt to SEC championship? No, you don't have the players. All right? So you get a player, you get a young coach, like Deion Sanders, let's say, who knows the system and knows how this is going to play out, and be able to get the horse, the horses to come on his team, the 5 stars and 4 stars. All you do need is good assistance. You won't have to pay a coach like Coach Saban $11 million to coach a university. That's good.
So you're saying that the money gonna be going to the players now?
I think the monies are going to be going to the players. I really think that paying a coach $11 million.
11.9 million.
Yeah, or whatever. It's a thing of the past, because you're not going to need that guy. If you got to, like, let's say the guy coaching at Vanderbilt, say next year he signs 10 5-star players, or 10, and then the following year he does that. 3 years of good recruits, you're up there playing for the SEC championship. It's the players, and you're not before. It was the coach willing to go the extra, that was separated, I think, coaches to, how do you get all these 5-star, 4-star players coming on your team before,
He's a great recruiter.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean, good. You could be a great recruiter, but but you have to have a good bag man.
Yeah, we know. It takes a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of everything, but that's how that was the atmosphere then. Okay, it's going 180 degrees now, so I don't think you're going to need guys like Coach Saban, like the coach at Texas A&M,
like Brian Kelly.
You're not going to need these guys, because the players are coming for the money. So if you got a guy that can raise money and bring that money in,
But that goes back to the NFL at one time.
Yeah.
They paid the players, but they didn't pay the coaches much at one time. Because there was no need to pay the coaches, because we bringing in professionals,
right?
And these guys go make the money. So the players make more money than the coaches made. So but that's changed now.
Yeah. But the pro ball and college ball are totally two different things, because in pro ball, you got 30 teams, 31 teams, 32 teams. Where in college, you got, So you can. I don't think you're not going to be that icon coach in college. I don't think you're going to be that icon coach in college making $11, $12 million a year. Because the kids aren't going to be coming to school. The student athletes aren't going to be coming there in about 2 years from now. They ain't coming there because it's University of Alabama, University of LSU. All right, they're going there to who's giving me the most money.
You can't get mad at the student.
No.
That's matter of fact. To this day, people still. I remember I still hear people say, "I can't believe they're going to get in the draft. They got one more year. I don't know why they don't stay at the university." And that don't make any sense to me, right? Because if the individual's saying that, if they're working on the job and they got a chance to move to another level,
no, that doesn't make sense. Even if their child, that person's child, somebody offered them $3 million a year, but you have to leave college. They're leaving college, and that parent's gonna be happy. The reason you're sending your child to college is so they get a good job.
That's right.
Period.
So if you can bypass it, you did come to college to better your life.
More power to you. But you know what though? You still have to be a smart person to be able to handle that money. So hopefully that person that leaves her, and you're starting to see ex-athletes going back to school. I mean, that left school early, going back to school, because they know in the world out there you need that extra knowledge.
So now the thing about it, okay, so it does not look good for the home team. We talking about the players if they're not properly educated or informed about what's getting ready to happen. Yeah. So what are you suggesting? Okay,
what I'm suggesting is, LSU brings in a lot of money.
University.
The university for
football, athletics.
What would be taking $1 million or $2 million a year from their budget to start a head person that's either a financial planner, be an assistant, like he's on your staff, but he's in charge of making sure and getting a staff in there to making sure that all athletes are are knowledgeable on what decisions they're going to make with their money.
In other words, we're not going to take care of your business. We're going to teach you how to take care of your own business.
Yeah, right, and lead you where you intelligently can go to the right person.
And that's what that's the purpose of the university anyway, right?
Right.
You're at a university. You got all kind of accounting classes, investment classes. You got all this stuff already here.
Right.
So you got people who already been trained and prepared who teaches this. So.
Right. But they should have another department, and they're going to say, LSU is going to say, yeah, we have a department like that. It is not. I mean, the person running that department, I've talked to her. She's young. She's naive, I think. But
this is a university. LSU is a major university. We just using LSU because we both went to LSU.
Right.
So we talking in
right, and this doesn't mean that
we're talking university.
Yeah, we're not
university, but we just using LSU.
Yeah, because we're familiar with it, and we're not trying to say LSU's bad or anything.
We use LSU for an example right now.
Florida does. The University of Florida form a board.
They can form not just that, they can collaborate with other departments at the university that's already here.
Right. The University of Florida does that. They get their law school professors. They get professors in other fields, and there's a committee. So when an agent wants to sign a prospective student athlete, they go in front of this board and make a pitch on why they should be the person's agent. We don't have that here, and LSU can start, but it costs money, all right? And LSU is going to have to realize in order to compete.
But what you're saying, know LSU made almost close to $200 million in athletics. So these guys are bringing the money in. They're not coming to watch Brian Kelly.
No, they're not.
They're coming to watch the players.
The players, yeah.
So what you normally do is put everybody in the best situation you can where they can be successful. You do it on the field because you want to win. So why not do it
off the field?
Off the field to make sure that everybody win again.
Right.
Because this is going to be crucial.
And look, now, say for instance, you're a recruit. Let's say A school is giving you $75,000. B school is giving you $100,000. LSU is going to give you $40,000, but they make a presentation that everybody that's gone NIL deals not only made money but also created more wealth. Where do you think your parents would want you to go?
They use that same analogy when they recruit the child. We're going to take care of your child. When they come here, we're going to ensure that they get an education. If they come here, we're gonna show that we keep them on the straight and narrow. That's how they recruit a child.
Right, I know.
So you're already saying that now. They're saying that again.
Yeah, but there's no proof in the pudding on these student athletes retaining their NIL deal money.
But then after about 2-3 years, you got a success record showing that.
Yeah, and this is right now. This is the ground floor of NIL deals. I don't see the NCAA jumping in on this because you cannot tell somebody how much they can get paid. Right now, you would think maybe you can put a cap, where NIL athletes for the whole LSU system can only make $500,000 a year, or say $1 million a year.
It's too late. You can't do that.
The genie's out the bottle.
You can't do it.
So what's going to happen is. And this is where, everything's going to come to a head. You're going to have a few schools, like 10 or 15 schools, because their economics and their states are good. Their money, you got corporations located there that will rise to the top because they can draw, $60 million a year from their corporations.
That's some serious money.
Where here at LSU, you're going to be lucky if you draw 3 to 5 a year. Because then remember, if you start going after alumni, you're going to be taken away from the school too. their donations, the history department, the arts and science department, the business department, the law school. So it's a fine line on who you can go after, after in the pie.
There's a lot of money out there. So I guess that goes back to the comment you made about the coach's salary going down. Because that money will go to the players, no longer the coaches.
Why? Okay. Why? If the players aren't coming into school for the coaches, and they're just coming for the money, why do you need those coaches? Because if you have if you switch Nick Saban to Vanderbilt, you think he'd be winning SEC? Do you think he'd be winning SEC championship?
Of course, Nick gonna win, man.
At Vanderbilt, come on, be honest. I love Nick, but but you see you see what's going to happen. All right, if a coach or you might see a coach like Coach Saban going to Vanderbilt, knowing that he can build up a program because they got the corporate sponsorships there.
That's what they got.
Yeah.
So now you got to look at it different. Yeah. But but that's the corporate dynamics always been a concern. Huh?
Okay. Back in the old ways, how they used to do, maybe a corporation wouldn't want to give the guy. They used to call the guy who went collected the money to give the money to the players the bag man, because he'd get all the, so and such recruits need $8,000 to sign. Well, that guy make a phone calls, gets the money, and gives it to that recruit. Okay, and some corporations wouldn't want to do that, but now this is all above board. You get a tax write-off.
They can get actually write the taxes.
Yeah, you get the right. This is all above board. You get the right to taxes off. So a corporation might be more. You have a big alumni in there, and let's say they got a $3 million marketing budget. Well, let's give $300,000 marketing budget for my boys to get my guys over at LSU to give to use it to get NIL money, and we'll use these guys on our billboards.
And and the people that benefit the most from players gonna be, let's say if you had, I don't like calling names, but like a Chick-fil-A, right?
Right.
So these people who people coming to their establishments every day.
Yeah.
That's what Gordon McKernan take advantage of. He's one of the biggest attorneys in town. So we want you to
right. No, he has the money. He's spotlighting the players, but pretty soon that. What he's given now, I don't know what he's giving these players. Okay, one guy might get 5, another might get 30. You just don't know. Okay, but pretty soon that fee is going to jump up higher.
Yeah, the player gets more sophisticated.
Yeah, jump up higher. Okay, because even though you go to LSU, you're buddies with the guy at A&M. You're buddies with the guy at Alabama. Word gets around.
Yeah, players talk.
Yeah. So I that's why I don't see LSU being able to compete with the big dogs out there.
LSU say they are the big dogs.
They are not. I mean, no, compared to the money that's out there now, that's going out there.
Because you've been inclusive of the whole state now. Yeah. Because that's what's gonna make you a big dog.
Right.
And then they got to compete with what it is. You got Tulane, who's doing well now. You got other.
Now Tulane has national alumni from the East. There's a lot of people from the East Coast that come to Tulane. So Tulane is not like a Louisiana school per se.
Oh, okay. Don't you say that, man.
No,
Tulane.
Well, they're not. But they know most of the students that come there are not from New Orleans and Louisiana. They're from out of state. And and Tulane was another school. I asked a friend of mine to get a hold of their NIL guy to give me a call. Never did. I wrote. I sent the email to Oregon State because they have one of the best NIL programs. Okay.
Share that with us.
With Nike. Okay.
Because the guy who owned Nike.
Yeah. I forgot the name of it. It's Design Inc. I think is the program they started.
Design Airbnb.
No, it's Design Inc. But they started a program with Airbnb. Okay. And what they do is get a place like, let's say, La Cook, like the Cook Hotel, okay? Each player will design this room and then put, like their jersey up on there. And then when the fan comes for that particular sport, let's say football. Let's say they come in on a Friday night. Well, the player will come in and talk to you for 30 minutes. All right? Now they get part of the Airbnb rental. All right? For their NIL deal. Now the problem I see with that. Now I couldn't confirm with the Oregon State, but here's a problem that could come up with that. Say if you did it yourself, and I'm in here in this room, and I'm, oh man, Lyman White's going to come talk to us. I'm a big fan. You come and talk, great. I'm taking a shower, I slip, hurt myself. I break a leg.
Oh man.
All right, but you're not in court. You're not LLC.
Okay.
So I get to go after you personally.
Like you're talking about, you get to go after the player
personally. You know, some of these guys are going to be getting big incomes later. You never know. They might get, be a number one pick. But let's look at Tom Brady, FTX. Let's say if FTX were to go to the University of Miami and signed 10 players and gave them $100,000 each to do billboards for FTX. Oh, that went under, and everybody that was promoting FTX is being sued. So how do are they? Are we? Are the universities advise? There's a lot of legal stuff that the university are they advising the player to either do it individually or do an LLC. So there, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts to this, and I think what sets my article apart is it's down to earth. Where
it's simple. If I read and understand it, it can't be that complicated.
For football guys, for football coaches to understand. Okay, I put the code article next to my statement, the tax code article. So if they want to, they can go to the tax code article and see that what I'm telling you is true. So not many people have been in a situation where they played college football and then become a tax attorney.
Very few.
Yeah. So I'm using my knowledge in both and putting them together. And because of what I did investigate on my article, I see this happening down the road because it's just common sense that it's going to happen. Implode. It's going to implode college football.
And now let's go back now. What do you mean they're going to implode college football?
Okay. What I mean about what would happen, let's say, if my theory is correct, that Vanderbilt now is a Power 5, and LSU's
it never have been.
No, it never. But LSU's now the bottom 30 or 40, and you see a flip around. What do you think is going to happen to college athletics?
It's already going down.
All right, but essentially, what these schools are becoming are semi-pro teams. Okay.
You say becoming? That's what they are now.
Yeah, they're becoming semi-pro teams because guys, your community businesses are paying the athletes. Okay, and back in the day, that's how football started. It wasn't, it was the NFL, but you had club teams that your own your own city or neighborhood sponsored. Okay, maybe by giving them jobs or donating money. That's how football started, and I think it's going to come to a head where somebody's going to say, "Look, we give up." The way it's set up, it's not fair. But you can't take it back. So what'll happen next?
So now that goes back to what your earlier statement was about the NCAA.
Right.
Going to be the savior.
They're going to come in. Let us put some rules down. But I think the NCAA they had such a bad reputation and bad taste that I think they're going to be coming in at the wrong time.
But it's too late then.
It's too late. It's too late.
Because now, not hundreds, but thousands of players are affected or in serious situations.
Right.
Now let's make this question here. Where can the university set aside monies to help players?
That's against the rules.
How is that against the rule?
Huh?
How is that against the rule?
The way I understand the law is only businesses can give student athletes for advertising only.
Well, you just told us earlier that the schools are giving the players money to stay.
No. The school's not. It wasn't the school got an NIL deal for them. That a company was going to pay them $10,000. The school wasn't going to pay them directly.
All right then. Okay. So
Yeah.
So that means that the school is still working through the businesses.
Right. Because that's how the rules set up.
But what I'm talking about now, the school got to have a pot of money sitting there to say, look, we can't let our players.
Can a coach give a pair of shoes to a kid right now?
All that's still in effect.
Yeah, all still in effect. The only difference is now, if you look at the state law and read the state law, is that businesses can give player athletes for commercial, for their name, image, and likeness. Okay. Now, if you want to take a student athlete to dinner and pay for their meal, that's still against the rules.
Man, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Attorney Hornbrook. Now you telling me that those things are still in effect?
Still in effect.
Now you can pay them millions of dollars, but you can't bring them out to lunch.
You can't bring an athlete to lunch or dinner.
And the former players still cannot have any dealings with them. All that.
You see, one thing. Look, it's an unwritten rule amongst us, ex-players. If you see a bunch of current players out, you either out at the bar drinking or eating dinner, you either sometimes pick up the tab for them, because you know yourself how I was when you're in school, or you buy them a couple round of drinks. That's just an unwritten rule, all right? But you can't really, technically, it's against the rules. They still have the same rules that were in effect, but the NIL rules the states made up. They follow the NCAA guidelines, but the only thing that's good that a company can do is pay for their, image, name, and likeness. And all the state rules mimic each other. It's like they didn't spend time to try to create it on their own. But not one part in their law makes the university culpable for helping these kids out with taxes, financial planning, and estate planning.
So the NCAA have cleared themselves, and then have not obligated the university, only the state legislature.
Yeah, but in there, when I read the rule, I hope I read it right. Well, I think I did. They said an example is if you wanted to take a student athlete out to dinner, you can't. But if it was part of the NIL deal, you can.
You can't.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is so convoluted that it's just due to fail.
That sounds like the NCAA. No, because they didn't make any rules. They didn't make it, so they're not doing anything to govern it.
Right.
They're just giving it to the legislature, and we know how that goes, right?
Okay. Well, who contributes money to the legislatures when they run for office?
The businesses.
The big alumni.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You think these legislatures are going to do one? You're committing political suicide if you could do anything against LSU. All right. You just might as well say, especially if you run in North Louisiana, Central Louisiana. Maybe New Orleans, you might get away with it, right?
You might get away with it.
But if you do something to hurt LSU football, you're a done man, okay? So that's not going to happen. Now, will Louisiana put a cap on how much businesses can give if the other states aren't? No.
Football is what drives college athletics.
Right.
It supports almost 80% of the other sports.
And that's why I use football in my article.
Because most other sports are in the negative.
Right.
And they probably still going to be in the negative, but the players going to be making money now.
Right. You got the gymnasts that LSU make, I know gymnasts, but make $7 million. They got wherever she goes now, there's a crowd of guys coming to the meets and hooting and hollering for her. They had to come out with the press to say, stop doing that. Now, this was rumor, but the University of Pittsburgh head coach said that they had other schools offering the starting quarterback at North Carolina $5 million to transfer. Was it $5 million? Could have been $1 million, but some players that could be game changers are going to get a lot of money. How does USC, I forgot, another top-notch wide receiver is transferring to, they got the wide receiver from Pittsburgh that won the Blitnikoff to transfer there. They got another wide receiver, top-edge wide receiver, transferring to them. They're not doing this out the kindness of their heart. The guy's saying, I've always wanted to be a Trojan. Let me go now, okay? It's not, no. The football program, and, USC, you know how wealthy their alumni are? This is how wealthy their alumni are. They had the cheating scandal for the SAT and all that. They had parents paying $100,000, $200,000 to get their kids into USC. But I'm just saying, do you think USC is going to have trouble raising NIL money?
No. UCLA neither.
No,
No,
but USC is a lot. UCLA is a public
school. That's right.
USC is a private school, so
they can do it. They can do it any way they want to.
When you got parents paying the cheat, hundreds and thousands of dollars so their kids could go to school there, they can pull money.
They went to the playoffs, the Cotton Bowl, and Tulane beat them.
No. Well, hey, they got a couple. They have to get a couple of defensive.
Congratulations, Tulane.
Yeah, they got a couple. I'm not saying that, but I'm just kidding. Congratulations, Tulane. So that's what exactly I'm trying to tell you is that the landscape of college football is going to change.
So, in other words, this NIL deal is a game changer.
Big game changer.
But if you call tax attorney Carlos Hornbrook, he can guide and direct you and help you to be a part of the change and not let
benefit from it
and not be caught up in change.
Yeah, benefit from it. So, but if they teach these young men, and look, they're going to say, okay, there's no way, some people are going to say you can't teach these kids this. Let me tell you this. I taught at a public high school, inner city children, financial planning. And from when I started that class, they had maybe 7 kids in the class. By the time I finished teaching at the end of 7, we had like 70 people in the class, all right? But I used real life examples. The reason I went into this profession is one day I went with my great-grandmother to draw some money out. And the company that she invested with basically stole her money. And I saw my great-grandmother crying. And I said, you know what? When I grow up, when I become an adult and work, I want to do things that don't let this happen to families. So I told the class, y'all need to learn this to help y'all mothers and grandmothers later on. By the time we finished that class, these kids knew what a mutual fund was, knew what life insurance was, knew what the difference between a stock and a bond. And these are inner city children that were in, 10th grade.
That lets you know that you need to be applauded for doing that. But why would not the system set up something for every child to learn that?
Because half the system is clueless about this. Growing up, I didn't know about stocks and bonds growing up. A lot of my friends in middle income class families didn't know about stocks and bonds, it's something that is not taught by parents to children. And it's just snowballed to where we are now. But because of the internet, because all the stuff you can find on a computer, on Google and stuff like that, younger people are getting smarter. Like the big run up in stock we had in summer was because most of the people investing were in 19, 24, 25, which is unheard of in the stock and bond world. So people get smarter. I've talked to some pro players now that are, and they're telling me about their stockbrokers, their best friend. they talk to them every day. Well, that's because that's when you're a pro player, you're like a corporation with the money you're making. Okay, you're a business, so you can't let the business go. And now these guys understand that, so they keep in touch. They're learning.
So what you're saying is that now, if the universities and the high schools start working together,
Right.
get these young men and women prepared for that day and that time, because these guys who are going to be great athletes, they're looking forward to that, but they're still not prepared.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't prepared.
Right. And then remember, high school kids can get NIL deals too, not just college. And it's going to trickle down. It's going to trickle down to playground kids. I'm serious. They got people recruiting playground kids. And when you're in the playground, you know that.
Yeah, they were. Matter of fact, that happened when I wouldn't say playground, but Dylan Moses.
Yeah.
When Alabama offered him a scholarship, what grade that was? Seventh grade, seventh grade.
Yeah. So it's there, and it's going to even become more there now because of NIL deals. So now, let's say your NIL deal because you're a minor now. That's totally different, okay? Because different ball game. You hire the parent. I think you hire the student, but you have to set up money in a trust account, and things like that. So.
But we're gonna close now. But I also want to thank you for the insight, and also that if anybody want to read the article. What's the title of the article?
Huh?
What's the title of your article?
College football. Basically, the premise is how college football is going to implode because of the NIL deal.
Yeah, and you can go on the site, Smart Brother Media, and read the article. It's about 7-8 pages. Great read, easy to read. But he did a great job. He did a lot of research.
I feel comfortable publishing the paper because it's right on the tax codes.
I understood it. I was able to read it. Of course, I'm not as familiar with the tax code, but
by reading an article, if you don't believe something I'm saying, I got the tax code, where you can go what tax code section it is. So on my what I'm using as my sources, okay, where you can go to the tax code and read it yourself, the exact code. So this way somebody can't say, oh, this is not going to happen when they read this paper.
And also, I want to close with have a little common discussion about Hamlin, with the young man.
The young man that got hurt.
Yeah, what his name was, Darwin Hamlin, something like that. For about a week or so ago, where it was affected with the hit and fell to the ground. Had to be resuscitated on the.
But one thing the NFL does have, they have the proper medical equipment out there in case something like this happens. But what really got me upset about this was they had a group of people saying that this happened because he got a COVID shot. Now, I just got a COVID shot. Okay?
You did?
I did today. Today I'm coming here just from but to say that happened to him because of a COVID shot is just plain wrong. You saw the helmet hit his chest. All right? Now, it just hit at the wrong time. But the main thing was that the NFL, they had the medical equipment out there to save his life. Because if they wouldn't have had that medical equipment out there, by the time he reached the hospital, he'd have been gone.
He'd been gone. He'd have been long gone.
He'd have been gone.
And that would have been a tragedy.
That would have been a tragedy.
It happened on a Monday Night Football, millions of people watching.
Right. And another thing I like, how everybody came together. Everybody.
It brought people all over the country together.
Yeah. And because everybody knows that playing, anytime you're on your job, it could be any job you do, something can happen, and you just wish that what happened to this young man, the way he was taken care of, the way they didn't resume the game, will happen to you too.
Yeah, but And unfortunately, it took the player decided not to go play
Right,
back.
right. Oh, yeah, you know.
Unfortunately, the player decided instead of the
I
team
mean,
saying we're not going to go play.
I mean, me as a fan, I don't know if I could have watched any more of the game.
Well, you lost all interest. Your friend just died.
Died.
He died. He was literally
right.
dead.
No, and these players knew that.
Yeah, and you just might go and play.
When you see them given
Resuscitating them,
when you given that the machine you're coming out, the defibrillator machine, you know that's the last the last grasp right here.
They gone.
Now, because that was the only machine that brought him back to life. Now I sit on a condo board at my condo. I did, and most of the people are older than me, and I brought up we need to get one of these machines in here, and they all told me no. I go, y'all the crazy people not wanting. I know they're about $3,000 or $4,000, but I think every church should have one because people get like wrapped up in church. Okay,
yeah, that's a good point.
I think every church should get one.
Okay, we got to put you in the legislature.
Because the machine that they use to save his life has a rich history of saving people's life. Which would have died if they didn't have this.
That shocked the heart back.
Yeah, it shocked the heart back. All right.
But once again, I'd like to thank tax attorney Carlos Hornbrook, a dear friend, for being part of Count Time, and thank you for giving us so much insight, knowledge, information on the NIL deal and the taxes, how it can affect the young men and women in the years to come. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate it. Okay.
Oh man, we appreciate it because hopefully y'all go to our site, Smart Brother Media, and you'll be able to read the article that attorney Carlos Hornbrook has written, which is very, very informative. Man can shackle the hand, the man can shackle the feet, but only you can shackle the mind. The mind is always free to travel wherever you dare to take it. Welcome to Count Time.